Man, so it seems that the Indiana Jones PS5 release is taking the world by storm, and not in a good way, because people genuinely thought Microsoft was going to go out of their way and make this a two-disc release. Now, everyone knows Microsoft has pretty much gone into the, digital age, and there's no really stopping that. They don't want to release physicals, A, because it loses them a lot of money because of the second-hand market, and B, the production costs. Now, as long as those costs are being passed on to the consumer, I'm all for this. I'm pretty much all digital as it is. I very rarely buy physical, but PS2 discs are at maximum 100 gigabytes. It's not like the Series X Blu-ray, which is at a 50 gigabyte maximum. So yes, the PS5 can hold double the capacity, but when a game is 125 gigs, in this case, I think it's roughly about 124, so they're just rounding it up, the disc can't hold it. Now, the controversy around this is the fact that, Microsoft put 20 gigs of data on the disk. I'm assuming they're using a single layer of disk as well. So it's roughly about 50 gig on the disk. And if you actually format that, because there is going to be a formatting, you're probably looking about 45. So to keep it safe and to keep that install quick, they put it on. There's probably dummy data filling the rest of the disk up. But what they've got here is basically 20 gig on the disk. What difference does 20 gig to 45 gig make? I don't know, considering you're going to be downloading. Now, one could argue, well, you've got metered internet in the US, which, in parts of a lot of Europe, you don't have. So it would help in that regard. So I'd say, yeah, you've got a point there. But the controversy that's going out right now is crazy. It's having the disk fully filled up to 100 gig or to 20 gig, regardless of what it is, isn't going to make a difference. You still cannot play the game. As it says here, discs for Sony system can hold up to 100 gig, and some developers have worked around these limitations by shipping their software on two discs. Microsoft is not going to do that. Not now, not next week, not in a millennia. Those games will just land on probably the single press discs that they have, because they're not doing, they would have to get a whole bunch of new discs in that are ultra Blu-ray to be able to have the 100 gig. Now, whether they'll invest in that or not is unknown, but this, in my opinion, doesn't make any difference. You're not getting the game on a single disc, and Microsoft isn't in the position where they care enough to put it on two discs. Does this mean you're not going to buy the game? Who cares? Only you care. Microsoft doesn't care, because for everyone that doesn't buy it, there's another 100 that does buy it. So, this notion that, oh, if it's not on this, I'm not going to buy it, don't. And you know what? If it doesn't sell and it flops and no one on PlayStation buys it, it just gives Microsoft more reason to not put games on PlayStation. So, as far as, anyone else is concerned, it doesn't really matter. You're only stabbing yourself in the foot, really. But the big story today, of course, is the fact that PlayStation, as of April 14th, is increasing the price of the PS5. Now, this is absolutely ludicrous. Now, I don't think this has anything to do with the tariffs in particular. This is just changing times. For a console that's 4 or 5 years old now, changing the price again. This is the second price hike that Europe and UK have seen. I mean, can you imagine in this day and age that in New Zealand, like, it's $950? That's crazy. Crazy amount. In Australia, it's $830. Now, I appreciate the Australian and New Zealand dollars are different to the US one, but that is mental. The PS5 in the UK for all digital is going to £430. In Europe, it's going to €500. But of course, they are dropping the price of the actual disk drive. In the UK, it's dropping by £20, I believe. In Europe, it is dropping by, I think, €10 or €20. I'm not really sure. I didn't check out the price on that one. But these prices are insane. The fact that they're actually going out their way, and at a time like this, I mean, are they taking note of what Nintendo's doing and saying, well, if they can do it, we can do it? Or are they trying to increase the price around the world now in other parts where they're actually selling a lot of consoles in a bid to try and keep the American price a little lower so they can eat into that, which is pretty disgusting if you ask me. The rest of the world isn't doing isn't part of the tariffs. So why should the rest? If that is the case, why are they being penalized for this? But at a time when people are struggling, they are still. This has been the craziest generation for gaming in a long time. This has been the only generation I've seen where prices for consoles have gone up, and we thought that was mental. So not only is Sony now increasing the price of their digital consoles, but and in some parts they're doing it with the HD Blu-ray drive as well. But they've also increased the price in many countries around the world for PS Plus. Prices for PlayStation Plus with no quality increase, no benefit increase has increased again. And yet we don't hear any of the, media talking about this. We don't hear any of the usual suspects talking about this. Now, there was a lot of posts on X today of PlayStation has increased the price, PlayStation, but I've not really run into any articles. No, I don't really care if they're right or not at the end of the day. I know that these publishers are pretty much run by, a Sony ex executive, right? So there's going to be some damage control there, regardless of how they go about it. But you have to admit, when Xbox increased their pricing for Game Pass by £1, people went mental, lost their shit, and it was like the end of times was coming. And yet now we're getting the second console increase in for the digital version for the Slim, and where's the I mean, where's the standards, right? The double standards here, the hypocrisy is there for everyone to see. It's just crazy. But do you know what? It is what it is, and that is how it's going to be. I think this is absolutely bonkers. I think this is absolutely ridiculous, and you know, for a 4-year-old console, the prices should be coming down. These chips, the silicon and everything else should be getting cheaper, not getting more expensive. And before anyone starts talking about inflation, just shut up about inflation. I don't want to hear it. At the end of the day, if that's your go-to to everything, I've got a fat inflation waiting for you wherever you like. But this is just greed. This is corporate greed. And I really feel like after seeing the reaction to Nintendo and how Nintendo fans have supported this, I've been reading from multiple Nintendo fans that Nintendo's pricing is because of Xbox and PlayStation. So maybe this was Nintendo's fault after all. Maybe Sony saw that if Nintendo's getting away with it, we can. It'll be interesting to see if Microsoft follows suit and decides to increase the cost of Game Pass, because they're the last one to actually make any form of change. But let me say this before I sign off. Microsoft right now is in a unique position. They can reduce their console down to 400, leave Game Pass at the price it's at, and as these other platforms are increasing their pricing, it will push more and more people to Game Pass. As long as they can maintain that price for the next 2 years, I believe that this will benefit Game Pass way more, with more and more people looking at cloud gaming as an alternate solution. Now that you can have it on your TV, Samsung and LG now getting it native as well. You can always sideload it through the Chromecast with Google TV. So there are multiple ways you can get your Game Pass app onto your TV and even play it just through there. Now, I'm not saying you absolutely have to do it that way. I'm just saying that with the way the costs are ballooning in the console market, and when you're looking at prices for consoles right now going up, just looking ahead at the next gen, it's going to be god tier expensive. And at that point, a lot more people are going to be looking at these subscription services and these options to play without buying the box, because that's going to be what's affordable to them. It really does seem like it's getting out of control, but Sony taking every advantage it can to increase the prices where possible is a pretty scummy move. I called out Nintendo for doing stuff like this. I'll call out Sony. And if Microsoft decides that they're going to do it, there will be a video from me calling them out as well. Make no mistake. But if Microsoft is smart, they will keep the price the same. Now, I know Game Pass does have day and date, and that kind of alleviates some of that pressure because these games do cost a lot of money. But now that they're releasing those games on PlayStation, and they've already been releasing them on PC, and I suspect some of them will go over to the Switch, there's really no excuse at this point for them to make any knee-jerk reaction price increases, because they're getting that PlayStation money, they're getting that PC money, they're getting that subscription money from Xbox, and soon enough they'll be getting that Switch 2 money as well. So in my opinion, they should stay where they are. But with these guys, this is bad. This is just bad. I think this is awful at a time like this, especially. And you know what? At this point, I do foresee another price increase for PlayStation consoles as well as PS Plus. This is just not it, guys. This is not it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, remain legend.